Muscatine. It is back to gray and it is back to cold and wet, and I'm done. Like, it's almost May. This was supposed to be done like a month ago. I know I'm wrong. I know this is what it's always like, but I keep telling myself that it should be worn by April. And like Bob Allbee's here in a flipping Columbia jacket and everything. We're like, we should be like in shorts by now. But we have a big show for you today. We've got 3 guests. We've got Stringfest from the orchestra all the way through MCSD. We've got Bob Allbee, the new Executive Director of MCSA, and then we've got Cleo Franklin, who is an amazing guy. You will not want to miss this and all the stuff he's done and what he's bringing as he comes back to Muscatine. So with that, one quick thing I want to remind you about, we're going to talk about Stringfest, actually 2 things, pardon me. We're going to talk about Stringfest, which is going to fill your Friday night. Thursday night is the Muscatine Civic Chorale concert that we're going to be streaming. 7 o'clock it starts. It'll be at First Presbyterian if you'd like to go. There's no cost to go to the concert or to watch online. So thank you to all the sponsors that we've pulled together in the last couple of days to be able to make that happen. And then Saturday, if you're not doing anything, get off your tush, help Rebuilding Together on their 11 projects. Swing out. You can register online before Saturday or go out to Rebuilding Together on Hauser Street. I think they're going to be there about 8. You might have to double check me on that, but they'll get you registered. They'll have coffee, donuts. They've got lunch, water. All you literally have to do is show up and help. They've got like 11 huge projects all over Muscatine that need done. So if you're not doing anything Saturday, that's where you should be. That was a lot already, and we haven't even gotten to the guests yet. And the first one's, what? Oh, yeah, Chris reminds me. It's Hug a Plumber Day. So we have to give a special shout out to Tim Kelly, because Tim Kelly is, I think, probably the plumber that I would want to hug the least. So Tim, I'll see you tomorrow morning, and I'm sure I will get whacked with a racquetball for that. So on that note, we're going to go to something that you guys all actually care about instead of my random inside jokes, which is we have some of the committee from Stringfest here, Evan, Cami Sr., also known as Kara, and Arabella, to talk about Stringfest this Friday. You knew I was going to do that, didn't you?
A little bit.
Yeah, I do it every time I see you, don't I?
Yeah.
Okay, we got to get this out of the way. Her younger sister and my son are in the same class, so it's just a thing. So get used to it. Evan, it's like you've been here before.
Yeah, I know. I was just here last week for the spring musical, and yeah, then we made another surprise appearance.
Are you gunning for my seat? Is that it?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely
Talk to the
not.
boss. He's kind of a punk, but you know. Okay, so Stringfest is Friday.
Yes.
Could you tell us, for those that don't know, what is Stringfest?
Stringfest is a memorial that we do in honor of a former student. His name is Giles Joslin. He put together this event. He created it and made it what it is today, and he passed away several years ago, and we have kept this going in memoriam of him. And it's the 14th year, which is exciting, and so we've got a lot going for this year, I'd say.
So, you guys all play, I assume?
Yeah. I play bass, the big one, the biggest one. I play in multiple groups. I'm in bass ensemble, which is like a bass ensemble, which is just full of bass players from like the high school and some alumni. And I also have in a family act, which is with my family, which with Cami, she gets to play this year because she finally plays violin, which is a little bit disappointing because the rest of us play bass. 3 bass players and a violin.
How did that happen?
She wanted to break from tradition.
That sounds like Cami.
Yeah.
A little bit.
She was very proud of her decision, and of course we do give her, we all are a little bit like, you could have picked bass, but also we respect her decision.
That's good. Arabella, what do you play?
I play the cello, and I play for, couple of the high school groups and other things. But then for Stringfest, I'll be playing our big main piece that we do at the end with everybody that's involved in Stringfest or anybody that really plays in the orchestra program and just wants to join in and be a part of it.
Awesome.
Stringfest.
So, what does a Stringfest concert look like? Who all will be there? Who all plays?
There are many different types of groups. We have some from the younger kids, like there is a honor orchestra playing, which Cammie's a part of. Then there's a middle school trio that's playing, and there's even a teacher piece where it's just all the orchestra teachers playing together.
Nice. So, where is it? When is it? How much is it? How early do they need to get tickets? It's this
Let's
Friday, so
see.
not super early.
Yeah, so it's on Friday, the 28th?
Let's go to 20. Yeah, because
20
29th is Rebuilding Together Day, so let's
Right,
go to 28th.
so Friday the 28th, tickets are $7 at the door. Starts at 7, so get there 6:45. Even sooner if you want to check out the silent auction baskets. We've got about 15 baskets that we need to get off our hands because we got a bunch of companies that donated some cool stuff, so check those
Awesome.
out as well.
Where's it at?
It is at the high school, so Muscatine High School.
In the auditorium?
In the auditorium, yes.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So, if somebody's sitting at home right now and they're thinking to themselves, why should I go to this? What's the one thing you'd want them to know? What's the number one reason they should go? Ooh, think hard.
I think probably the biggest reason would just be it's the easiest way to like help with the orchestra, like our like booster program, get money to help us pay for like instrument repairs, new instruments, helping people get lessons. It's just the simplest, easiest way to just support us and just listen to all kinds of fun music. It's not all just the boring classical music that everybody hears, since we're gonna have like more pop music, rock music. It's really just everybody gets to pick what they play, so it's all over the place.
They get root beer floats at the end, which is a big...
Oh, wait, there's root beer floats?
Yes.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. You had me at root beer. Whose
They'll
idea
be-
was that?
It's been a tradition for a while.
Really?
I believe we get it. We get either, I think, a discount from the Hy-Vee for all the supplies to make it.
That sounds about right. Sounds like something they would do.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I would mention, folks, is, you know, we went to the Drowsy Chaperone over the weekend, and Muscatine offers so many different things and so many genres of events, and it's really easy to get pigeonholed. Like, I do the sports stuff, or I do the, you know, the drama stuff, or if there's a concert, I go to it, whatever. The tickets for this stuff are completely inexpensive. It will expose you to something you're not used to. Because, like, admittedly, I wasn't an arts kid, right? I fell on the sports side of the bracket usually. But now I absolutely love it, right? You know, am I going to be in drama all the time now? No, I'm still not. But I can go enjoy what you guys are doing. And it's, you know, across the community, we've done a great job over the years of, like, this, you know, choral concert, Rebuilding Together, and a Stringfest all in one weekend in Muscatine, right? And I mean, you can do all three of them for literally $7, and those $7 are going to support the orchestra kids through the next couple years. So, you know, just get up and go. I mean, I think from my perspective, it's going to be fun. You're going to see, they always do a great job. Like, by the way, you guys did tremendous Saturday. It's an easy way to be a part of the community. It's an easy way to support the kids and also have a good time. Like, I've never gone to an event like this and not had a good time. Like, it just doesn't happen. Because the other thing, as much as you hear, you get, this is going to get cheesy for a second, I'm sorry. As much as you hear that kids today are blah, 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 they're lazy, they're whatever, it's a total crock, people, I'm telling you. It's a total crock. These kids, every time I'm around them, whether it's like the drama kids, the Muskie Minutes kids, the athletes, every time I'm around them, I'm energized by it. So go pick up a little bit, like suck their juice, like go vampire style, like suck their energy out, and because that's what's going to happen if you go. So that's my little sappy, keep up the good work thing for you guys. But so quick recap: Friday night, Stringfest, all sorts of string-related music, all ages. Some alumni. We've got some down as low as 5th grade.
Yeah.
Then $7 at the high school auditorium. So park on the Cedar Street side, come in the front or back door. think that's about everything, isn't it? Is there anything else you want people to know about Stringfest?
Just the auction. There's also the
Oh,
silent
yeah. Remind them about the silent auction real quick.
And there's also a silent auction. We got 15 baskets to get rid of, so come donate, and all that money goes to the orchestra program. So
And I assume that'll be in the foyer right outside.
yeah,
the
just on
auditorium.
tables. And, yep.
Yeah, they'll have it right as you walk in the door, so you'll be good. You'll find it.
Yeah, yeah.
So awesome. Well, guys, thanks for coming in. Make sure you go Friday, and we will be right back with the one, the only Bob Allbee. welcome back, everybody. Sorry we had a little extra long break there. I was confused. Whenever Bob's in the house, I just assume Bob's going to be on the show. He wasn't necessarily planning on being on the show. And so I was thinking, oh, extra guests. Perfect, great. And I was like, clean up with Cleo. Like, it's going to be great, right? Well, no, we're just going to push them all together because they've been friends for a long time, apparently.
Yep.
And Bob's new job, he has two, apparently. Not only is he the new executive director of MCSA, he's also an Uber driver.
Yeah, I'm Cleo's Uber.
And I'll tell you, he's the best Uber driver I've ever encountered.
All right, I'm
And
in.
he's a friend.
Awesome. I've got his
Yeah, we-
cell number.
we-
I'm just, what do you do? Just text and be like, yo, Boober? Oh, no, that's not what we want to call it.
Yeah,
No,
well,
no, this is Uber Premium. without
Right,
question.
right.
Let's go with that. All right,
Yeah.
so Cleo,
Yes.
if you could, I've never met you, but I've read a ton about you. It took a while. I mean, guys, there's a lot.
You humble
And,
me.
and it's amazing stuff. And so if you could, because you'll sum yourself up way better than I ever could you just give folks a quick back how you ended up here?
Well, that's, how I ended up, I'll talk about how I ended up here initially and what's brought me back.
Perfect.
I was a undersized basketball player out of Chicago, a 6'3" center, and top 25 ball player, recruited out of Chicago, the city, and University of Iowa recruited me. The only problem is that in the Big Ten, there's no place for a 6'3" center, and so they gave me the option to either come in redshirt or go down the road and play immediately at Muscatine Community College. So that's how I got here to Muscatine. And after two stellar careers, 2 seasons of playing with great teammates and many accolades, that was really led me to another path. But why am I back here is because I'm back here with my good friend, Bob Allbee, and I'm going to be speaking to some of the young agricultural leaders, FFA, 4-H, and some of the businesses as well. And we're going to, and as well as some of the MCC students, and talk about life lessons from my global leadership career that spanned over 30 plus years. And I hope that they'll find some value in that. So that's a little bit about why I'm here and what got me here.
Yeah, and that's like maybe a third of it, folks. So there's like, let's see if I get this close.
Okay.
Right? So there's kind of like 3 veins of you. Is that, so there's author, which we'll get to in just a second.
Yes.
There's CEO leader side, and then there's foundation side. I mean, is that kind of the 3 big lanes?
That's correct. Those are the 3 big lanes for me, and those lanes really, the genesis of it, continued and was nurtured here at Muscatine. I believe that big things happen in small places, and you seed for success, and it doesn't matter where you're from. But my experiences here, I have to, pay a little homage. But yeah, entrepreneurship as well. I get involved in my businesses as well as I've authored 3 different books. We'll talk about that later. And my 30-plus executive career working for John Deere, Case New Holland, and Mahindra across the globe.
Well, that's like across the rainbow colors too. You got some yellow, some green,
Yeah.
And, the one thing, and it's going to be kind of interesting to see some perspective on this. So people that are from Muscatine somewhat take MCC for granted, right? And Bob, obviously, you had a long, illustrious career there.
And you were a student there.
I don't know if I was a student, and I don't know if I would be bragging about that if I were MCC. But yes, I was, and I did graduate in 90, let's call it 99-ish. Yeah, it would have been 99.
That I can't remember, but
yeah.
I remember you being a student.
That's scary. That's not good. But that's the thing. Like, I didn't know it at the time. Like, I looked at MCC as like, I was originally, I looked at like USC and Iowa, and then I couldn't make up my mind, so I ended up at MCC as a default, right?
Right.
I had a girlfriend who's now my wife of a bazillion years, so I stayed. And looking back though, at the time I didn't realize it, but MCC was like the perfect launching ground because I was able to stay in Muscatine. I continued to, I worked at Krieger's. I continued to get to know people like Bob and just like all over the community, right? So when I left, I had a much better setup for success because I'd had some leadership stuff, whatever, right? And so now it's so weird because, and I'm sure you experience this a little bit as well, like I go back and I talk to like the Muskie Minutes kids who produced like a show like this at the high school.
Right.
And some of them are like, MCC? And I'm like, dude, trust me, it'll give you a great launching pad. And so to hear a totally different story, like mine's the typical Muscatine story, right? But then to hear somebody come from Chicago and say that it was like part of a catalyst of what you did is amazing. So what was it about MCC?
What MCC meant to me, and I wrote about it in a couple of articles and books, and Bob knows this well, it was the best of times and the worst of times, that the Charles Dickens novel of A Tale of Two Cities, and being able to understand that your purpose must be bigger than your struggle and your challenge really honed the focus for me. Great success here, I said, on and off the court with great teammates. By the way, MCC had a basketball team, and
yeah,
I believe when I left,
actually, they used to have a baseball team, softball team.
Bob
there was
played
a lot.
baseball there. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, and
Long time ago.
Yeah,
And they were good. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't just. I mean, like they were legitimate JUCO. Like,
But the thing that, again, that I think in life, if your purpose is bigger than your challenge, then your problems will become small. But I believe it's important that you need to embrace the struggle. And I can assure you, I went on and graduated from Morningside University and my MBA from University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. The education and the experience in the classroom at MCC was, I would say, stellar, without question. And so those elements of the people, the experience, the education, the challenges of being a young man trying to find his way, without question, gave me a good base and a good background to springboard.
so the thing that I find interesting about MCC, and we won't belabor this forever, but to hear you talk about the in-room experience,
Without question.
like I think back to some of my teachers, the John DeBeats, the John Witekis, that had real world experience
Yes.
and have a small enough class that they can actually make a difference in your education.
If I want to touch on something, you talked about the three veins of my career. I'm also a adjunct professor at the University of Houston downtown. I teach grad school, international business and global marketing. But as a adjunct professor, I bring real world experience and breathe life into the concepts and theoretical aspects of the real world. And so if there's a theory that doesn't apply or is misapplied, I call it out really quick. But to your point, community colleges, specifically Muscatine, you talk about the student to teacher ratio, you talk about the industry / I call it academia, good balance, and the ability to challenge. I think what I just remember is this. There was a misconception or predisposition about community colleges being more or less not ready for prime time. I can assure you, I came from a magnet school, Von Steuben High School in Chicago, that was premier. The education and teachers challenged you very, very well. And so that being said, I just wanted to let you know that I, without question, never questioned the education that I received here in getting my AA degree.
Bob, would you agree with that? I feel like you would agree with that.
Well, my story is similar to yours, Chris. I walked in the week before school started that fall and signed up because I wasn't going there. I mean, and I can remember my folks saying, you're either going to, so I had a summer job, which was only for the summer. And when that ended, I was somehow surprised that I was left unemployed and with nowhere to go to school. And so I remember my folks saying, you're either going to find a job or you're going to go to school or both. Well, by that time, it was too late to go anywhere else. So having said that, I said this to Cleo last night, I have great memories of my 2 years there. Teachers were excellent, prepared me well for transfer. And then coming back to work there, I worked with so many great people, teachers and staff and students. I don't know where I would be in life had I not
Yeah.
had that decision sort of made for me. But
Yeah, and that's how mine was.
right.
So the other thing that you kind of touched on, and I think this could lead us into the book real quick, is, you came from Chicago, you ended up in Muscatine, Iowa.
Right.
I would have to
Unintentionally, but
Well,
but
well-
by the direction of University of Iowa.
Hey, yeah, no, it works.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody has what I call their Muscatine story on how they either I always say got stuck here, and I say it playfully, but I was here, I went to Iowa, I ended up in DC for a short time. We came back because it just wasn't quite what we expected out there. 4 months later, we're back here, and I would have never thought that. When I was 18, if you said, Chris, you're going to be in Muscatine, you're going to have a newspaper and a cable channel and do marketing and stuff for I would, you're nuts. What are you talking about? I'll be in Chicago, whatever.
You're right.
And I wouldn't trade it for the world. So, but coming from Chicago here, I would imagine it was a culture change.
Yeah, to say the least.
I love the grin. I love the grin.
Bob,
There's stories behind that grin.
I share stories with Bob, but it's from an agricultural perspective. My mother and father grew up in small rural areas. My mother in southeast Missouri, in Wardell, Missouri, near Hayti,
Yep.
and my father out of Casco, Arkansas, which is just about 10 miles just north of Stuttgart. And so we would go back in the summers and spend time, on the farm in small rural areas. But a big contrast from the big city. But yet and still, I didn't have to stay there.
Right.
And so coming here was a big contrast, and nothing like the big city of Chicago. But one of the things that I think that's important, and I shared this with Bob yesterday, I'm a curious person, continuous learner. And if you're going to be in a place, I feel like you need to be there and immerse yourself. And that immersiveness really grew on me. And so I'm comfortable here now without that experience. I maybe would not have been, but comfortable here in Muscatine as well as I'll be comfortable in Paris, Mexico City, it doesn't matter. As long as you understand that you're there to immerse yourself within that culture and understand what, how can I say, not just be on a boat, but what makes the ship works.
Yep.
And so that's my experience here. But very, very different. And it didn't happen overnight to really get comfortable. I'll have to admit that.
Well,
I had to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Well, and that's, the one thing because of what we do, we often end up talking to people that are new to Muscatine. And Muscatine is a weird thing where there, and I say this with love. I love my hometown to death.
Right.
I wouldn't do what we do if I didn't. But there is this learning curve of Muscatine, and there's look at Bob's just chuckling because he knows I'm right.
Right.
There's this learning curve, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. Any community has it. If I went to
Right.
Chicago, I got to learn how to do it all. But
Right.
Muscatine's is just, it seems to be not like anywhere else. A little bit it's just, and what I tell people is, Muscatine will give you the world if you just go out and ask for it. If you just Muscatine, you're not going to come knock on the door saying, "Hey, will you come be a part of this?" I mean, we do somewhat, but but if you make yourself available and if you put yourself out in this community, you will find people that just for an example, we had the Chinese club here that went to DC. We've got a huge thing there. Stringfest, you name it. There's a group here for people. So
Yeah, I Bob and I talk about this quite a bit. There's a quote I believe in: if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And no one is successful alone. And when you talk about having someone introduce you and orient you to the way and how to navigate any place that you're going to be in. And people like Coach Huckleberry, the baseball coach from Muscatine, was tremendous for me. We had a good friend by the name of Milo, who Milo was.
You know Milo.
Milo was a legend. Milo was a good friend of ours, and he really helped. How can I say? Not just befriend us, but help us, embrace us in ways that I cannot say. So I want to pay homage to his essence and his spirit. And rest in peace. Because Milo was the best.
So we've got to take a Milo moment here because I grew up with him. You know, he's great friends with Randy Lear, who's one of
Right.
the baseball
Yeah,
coaches.
yeah,
My
right.
dad knew
Yep.
him. You know, he was a fixture at the Y. And I'll tell you this, some of my most fond memories of growing up in this town are
Right.
actually at the Y. You know, he was the service center attendant at the Y early mornings for like 600 years, right?
Right.
And I was the early morning lifeguard there from 4:45 to 8:30 in the morning
Okay.
when I was a junior and senior in high school, right? So I would go with, you know, the rogues gallery of guys that were there that came in the mornings. So I'd roll in at 4:30 as a 16-year-old to Milo, right?
Yeah.
And of course I know him man, the wisdom that he could impart in like 2 words in tone and,
Yeah.
but man, that guy was such a fixture. He was so gruff but lovable.
Yes.
Like you only knew, and this is maybe where I get it. You only knew he liked you if he totally jacked with you.
Right.
Oh,
That's right. He wouldn't tease you if he
no,
didn't like
and
it.
it was great. And
Yeah.
you know, I got to work with him 3 or 4 years, really like every day, and it was a blast. And Bob, you came in at the Y at that time.
Yeah, and he's my classmate. He's my high school classmate.
Oh, that totally makes sense.
So
And
I knew
yeah.
Milo for a long time.
So yeah, shout out to Milo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that whole crew. But
Yeah.
Yeah, Milo. You know, you talk about every city may have a mayor, chamber of commerce, but they need an ambassador to advocate and represent the essence of
Yeah.
the city. And Milo, I mean,
There's stories about Milo.
Yeah.
I don't know that they're true or not, but if it was forecast bad weather, snow or whatever, he never failed to get to the Y to open.
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
No, and that's not So again, now picture 16-year-old kid has to co-open the Y with Milo.
Right.
And here's the thing: I was the CPR provider, so he couldn't open without me.
Right.
Now you also have to remember this is like Reggie Meyer and like Terry Mealy and all these guys are there. You know, the Y's supposed to open at 5. They're there at 4:30, standing there waiting for the door to open. And so I would roll in, and then everybody went in, right?
right.
Imagine the phone call you get if you're a 16-year-old kid from Milo who happens to oversleep. Imagine that phone call. I'm going to tell you, you will never oversleep again. It was fury
Yeah.
because he never missed. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
This is no joke, he would go in at like 11 o'clock and he would just be there all night to make sure that place was open.
It meant a lot to him.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
did. And it meant a lot to everybody else.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, you know, you've been everywhere and we all have Milo stories.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I haven't had a chance to tell a Milo story to people in China or Japan or Australia, but if you know, I wouldn't.
How
have,
have you
I wouldn't
not?
have a problem. Well, you know, it's because I was telling Bob Allbee stories.
Oh, that makes sense.
Milo stories would be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I just, if you don't, I like to just say a couple of things. Guy like Bill Mills out of North Scott was a teammate who was there with us, as you talked about. Really made the transition, helped the transition along with Bob, and you know, even a guy by the name of out of Kelowna, Randy Bush. I want to shout out to him. You know, that would take us over to his farm, and you know, we would have omelets and everything like that. But I think it's the people that embrace you and not look at the differences, but look at the alignment of what are the similarities that connect you, exist in this town, and there's people there that make it happen. They're the bridge, the connectors, and those are just some folks I wanted to mention.
We talked about that with the kids yesterday that went to DC, the part of the China group, and obviously we have a big relationship there. But we talked about that, like even if two countries don't have the greatest relationship politically, the individuals can still have great relationships. And
true.
that's what they're learning. And to hear that was happening a while ago here,
Yes.
and it's still continuing to happen is awesome.
Well, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm back, because of those relationships.
So let's talk about that book there.
Well,
Which one do you-
yeah.
Either one. Pick,
yeah.
pick,
Well,
pick.
Coffee with Cleo is first book of mine. It's a book of leadership lessons, and the second book, Lessons from Our Mothers and Fathers. And these books are leadership books, and the intent of writing these books were just to create life lessons in a very simplistic manner that aspiring leaders can learn from, and leaders that are long in it too may have forgotten. And so they're near and dear to me. And this book here that have a book reading tomorrow at Jefferson
Jefferson, yeah.
Grade School. Just came out with my son, Michael Franklin, and this is a book about the possibilities and imagination, which is the superpower of children, of what they can be. And the name of the book is What Do You See When You Look at Me? And it's a fantastic book that is based on my son, Michael Franklin, who is a budding actor, a voiceover actor, a graduate from Lone Star College, and and a great worker at FedEx, and happens to be has Asperger's syndrome. And so those are the things that I'm involved with as an author.
Well, and the Asperger's function in this,
Yeah.
and the special needs side is so, I don't know what the word I want to use is. It's so similar to other differences, but yet so different. So like, we had a daughter with special needs, and what the families go through is similar to other things that might make you different, right?
Right.
But there's a whole extra layer that goes with it, of the medical side, or of the,
Right.
and it's things that you don't even notice. And I'm sure you guys went through this, where like, even like family gatherings, which most people don't even think about. Yep, we're going or whatever, become a whole thing, right? Like, where you have to think about how it's going to go, how do we make it work, and it's just, it's all encompassing. It's 24/7.
Right.
And the biggest thing that I always worried about is, how do people, like, I don't care about me, I care about her. What kind of life is she having? And,
Right.
I can only imagine that that's what went through your mind.
Yeah, the thing about, as you've just talked about, special needs and disabilities, I think it's, my wife Lois and I take this approach that we all have some challenge.
Yep.
We're all special in our own way, and some of us think that we're very special. But that being said, what this book talks about, and how I feel about Asperger's is this: it is Michael's superpower. He's been given something unique that other kids don't have. And what we've done is help him understand and embrace his Asperger's and use it to his benefit. Not to feel bad about it, not to feel discouraged about it, but to understand the elements that I could never, ever understand, but more importantly, tap into it and appreciate it.
Yeah, and that's, it's, special needs parents have like this instant connection, right? And, ours was slightly different, in fact, but Ainsley was only supposed to live 9 months. She lived 12 years. We spent a lot of time at the university, and she's been gone 4 years now, just a couple weeks ago. And to this day, we still have physicians and nurses reaching out like, hey, I thought about her.
Right.
She changed how I do things. The girl never said a word in her entire life, right? But when you look in her eyes, you knew. And everybody was able to pick up something from her, and that was her superpower, so to speak. And it wasn't anything expected. There's a great book, Roadmap to Holland, where they talk about, as a parent, you have these expectations for what it's going to be as a parent, what your kid's going to be able to do, and whatever. And this lady talks about, and my wife could do this so much more justice than I can, but basically, it's like she had always wanted to go to, I think it was Italy or Rome or something.
Right.
For a vacation, and it's like, oh, nope, you're not going there, you're going to Holland instead. Holland's great, right? But it wasn't what you thought you wanted. But then once you get there and you get on board and you realize Holland's actually pretty awesome, right?
Yes.
Like, I would never trade those 12 years and those experiences, because we got to do things at the Children's Hospital. I got to help redesign the specialty clinic. We met so many great people, but I would have never guessed that from the beginning, ever.
And what gave you that experience was?
Her.
Yeah. You that touches me, because the thing that I think that's important about Asperger's, as you said, it takes you to places that you would never go. And that to me, it opens up, we call it a gateway to new experiences. But you mentioned this earlier, Chris, about some of the challenges as we're trying to understand and diagnose and really prepare him for the future. Right? He's 30 years of age, and at the age of 3 and 5, we were worried. But I'll say this: the thing that's important is that once we realize to get over ourselves and start getting onto him and focusing on Michael, things shifted for us because it wasn't about us and how we felt. It was about how do we best prepare him.
And to tie it back to what you said, you know, I don't remember exactly how you said it, so I'm going to slow this, but your mission was bigger than your problem,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
And when you know, the problems that you face as an Asperger parent or as we did or whatever, they're big, no question, right? But the one thing that is bigger is your kid. There's, you know, and everybody, and I'm sure you get this too. Everybody's like, well, I don't know if I could do it, or, you know, you do a great job. Oh, I could never do that. I could never handle it. And you just sit there and chuckle because you go, yeah, you could. You would. You might not think you can today. And I get that because I would have never thought we could do it. But as soon as you get put in that situation, you're going to do it. And
That's right.
That's, I love how all the things that you've talked about, when things are right, they all come together. And all three of these come together.
They do.
It's almost like it's maybe some truth in there.
Well, you know, I think it's, you know, it's the reality of that we take from lives and experiences, because all we are is some of the experiences and exchange that we've had with people and places we've been. And I've been given more than I've expected, and I have enjoyed more than probably what I deserve. So, you know, I try to keep myself humble. Well, listen, this young man here is friends. We've been friends for 40 plus years, and it was great seeing him, and I really want to thank him for getting me back here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a great team, too. So it's Mariah Ellis from the Community Foundation, Krista Reganetter from Stanley Center for Peace, and Kim Warren from United Way. So that's our team.
Those three, Krista, Mariah, Kim are amazing, and I thank them as well. They're the best. And again, that's just, you know, you find gyms everywhere, and those well, you're lucky to find a gym. And when you find one, you better well take care of it. And those three are more than worth their weight.
The interesting thing, Muscatine tends to attract them in a weird, backwards sort of way. You end up with people here in Muscatine that can do things that you would only expect to see in like big, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we pull off things that no community this size should pull off, but we do it regularly, right? Yeah. And so just to hear, like, you know, you come in with a global experience and say, look, you got like 3 great ones right here and just this, right? It's reaffirming that Muscatine is doing something right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's part of my experience. It's part of who I am, and I embrace it. And I'm just glad to be back here. And by the way, I just want to tell people, if you're interested in my books, Matt.
That's actually what I was just going to say is, how do they get the books?
Yeah, how do you get the books? Just go to www.coffeewithcleo.com or coffeewithcleo.com.
Yeah. We'll make sure that we've got them in the notes.
And
we'll
these
get
books
it
are
on the
for you,
stuff.
Chris.
Oh, thank you.
These are for you. I'm going to be signing for you. And I thank you for the opportunity to bring me on your show.
It's been a blast.
Thanks for having us on.
Yes. It's and Bob, you can come back anytime. We should probably talk about all the quick segue. Bob, congratulations. I haven't seen you since a couple weeks ago.
You're right.
Bob's the new executive director.
Interim.
We're just calling him executive director.
But they're interviewing this week, so.
Yeah, I know. But Bob's steering the ship down at MCSA. So
I'll
congratulations.
come back and see you. Yeah.
And thank you. And
sorry I confused you today.
That's all right. It's easy. It happens all the time.
I'm the rideshare driver today. So.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Well, Cleo, it's been an absolute blast. Absolute blast.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
Chris,
come back
thanks
anytime.
so much.
Good to see you, Chris.
Heck, we can even do, whenever you're out talking somewhere, we can do a remote interview, have you hop on, and we'll tell some Milo stories.
You know what? I'd love to tell my. Yeah,
we could, you know what? We should do like a little podcast, like a limited edition podcast, where it's like Milo stories, and bring in like Randy Lear and like a bunch of those other guys, and just like tell Milo stories. I'm gonna do one quick one. The guy, best breakfast I've ever seen anyone eat. He would take, you know, those big cans of Chef Boyardee ravioli that you can get just like right down there. 4 o'clock in the morning, cracks it open, sitting at the service center desk, plastic fork, boom.
It's a cold.
Straight in. Cold, straight in.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Legit.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was only one.
There was only one.
You have to steal yourself. I mean,
you do.
I mean, if you to meet the Milo challenge, I mean, you.
Oh man.
You know, you have to. You have to be a real one to do that.
Yeah. Well, Muscatine, I hope you've enjoyed this anywhere near as much as I have. We will be back tomorrow, and I'll be honest, I've totally lost track of who's on the show tomorrow, so you'll just have to hop on and find out. We'll